Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. This is stage one of Tour de Gila, which was the MOGOLLON road race. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but 73 miles, 5,000 feet of climbing, and it was going to be a mountaintop finish. So the last 6 miles and about 2,000 feet of elevation gain was going to be the end of the race. So this is definitely going to make for a very interesting finish. We're picking up with about 15 miles left in the race, and the way the course was is it was kind of mostly just, either downhill or flat or just a few different rollers until we got to the final climb. So my strategy was just mostly to conserve energy, to be ready for the climb at the end. And so I really haven't done too much work. I've just mostly been hanging out in the back. And I've just been trying to eat a lot of food, which we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, so I've just been, hanging back here. There is a breakaway off the front. They have probably about a couple minutes at this point. It started as a breakaway of 3, which my friend Jacob was in, so it wasn't something, I was going to try and chase. Since he was up the road, but unfortunately he fell out of the break, and so now it's just 2 guys up the road, and then the rest of the peloton here. Another thing that happened a little bit earlier was my other friend Keaton. He ended up crashing, and although like Jacob and Keaton were not on the same team, we're friends, and so we were going to try to work together as much as was reasonable without destroying our own races. But unfortunately he crashed, and he was, he's a climber, so it was kind of, if we were able to kind of set him up good for this final climb, we probably would have tried to do that, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So I'm gonna kind of pull up here and tell Jacob what happened. A couple miles later, I'm kind of finding myself working on the front a little bit, working with some of the other teams or people willing to work, because we're obviously trying to bring back this breakaway because we only have 13 miles left. And this guy puts in a little bit of an effort, and then I kind of look back and see we have a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to put in even more power here, try to get off the front a little bit. There is a person right now that's in between me and the 2-person breakaway up the road. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe I can bridge up to this guy. We can maybe work together a little bit. Because if I could have a little bit of a gap going into the final climb, that would have been really ideal. Because I'm probably obviously not going to really be able to climb as good as the best climbers. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of an effort. But after a few minutes, I kind of see, for one, the guy up the road isn't really going hard anymore. It looks like he's kind of sitting up just waiting for the group. And then also, I just wasn't really putting in a big gap to the field. So I was like, all right, I was going to sit up and then kind of just get ready for the climb. One other issue I was having is my helmet broke during this race. And so it was so bizarre because I was just kind of like, I don't know, scratching the back of my head a little bit. And then the little plastic retention thing on kind of the right side just snapped. And so my helmet's just kind of loosely on my head. Obviously my helmet strap is still working. So that was fine. But anytime going down those fast hills where you're getting a lot of speed and also trying to get lower, it's just my helmet was falling down onto my face and stuff, and so it was really not ideal at all. Before we get to the final climb, I want to real quick shout out TPC, who's the sponsor of this video. If you don't know, TPC is a certified pre-owned bike retailer that has tons of bikes available. They're all high quality, been inspected. They also even come with a 30-day buyback guarantee. Plus, you can even trade in your current bike or even just sell them your bike if you're looking for something else. You can get either a store credit or cash. So definitely a lot of options. So be sure to check them out through the link in the description. All right, we have about just under 7 miles to go. We're now making the turn, which is now going to lead onto this final climb. And so for this entire segment, it's about 6 miles, about 2,000 feet. It averages about 5%, but it's a lot more because this beginning section and then there's another kind of little middle section are pretty flat. And then when you're climbing, it's a lot of times in the double digits. So it was going to be pretty tough. And unfortunately, we haven't made any headway into what is now a one-man break up the road. If you had watched my previous video, the guy that I was, shadowing and keeping an eye on, he was in this race, and he just rode away from the field, basically. So he's really, really strong. So he had a really good day out there. I think a lot of people didn't know who he was, and so that probably was a little bit helpful. But like I had said previously, since my friend was in the break with him, I wasn't gonna try and chase them back or anything. So yeah, he ended up winning. But yeah, so this is gonna be a battle for second place. And so we're still kind of in this flat section, but if we skip ahead, this is where things start really heating up, and I'm just trying to kind of stay in the middle of the group here and just follow wheels. I don't want to be boxed in if I can avoid it, but as you can see, I'm definitely boxed in. But everyone's still going pretty hard. One of the nice things was that center line rule was in effect up until this last climb, so it allowed us to have a lot more of the road, which was definitely helpful for this section. But yeah, I mean, this part one, that's kind of about 0.8 miles long, and it's around like 7 or 8% average. For this part, I averaged like 360 watts for about 5 minutes, which isn't crazy, but at the end of a long road race, it's can be a little tiring. But yeah, I mean, this is where things start getting shattered. I'm over 400 watts. My heart rate is just spiked. I'm at 185 beats per minute. And coming into this race, I was not in a good place. I had a lot going on, and so didn't have an ideal lead into the race. And then, unfortunately, like I was talking about earlier, with I was just trying to eat a lot during the beginning part of the race, I think I actually accidentally ate too much, and I'm just starting to cramp up really bad in my side right now. And so this is not ideal. And yeah, I mean, people are still just hammering right now. Still like doing over 400 watts through this section. But I'm just trying to put my head down and stay with the group as much as possible, because in just a little bit here, we're going to kind of crest over this first little climb, and then it's going to be the kind of flat section before the second part of the climb starts. So I'm like, all right, if I can just dig deep, still over 400 watts, and just stick on, and then I can kind of recover through the flat section. That's kind of what my plan is here. All right, we're finally cresting this first part of the climb, but as you can see, I am on my limit, 193 beats per minute heart rate, and the group is kind of splitting up here, and I'm just like, come on, guys, like people in front of me, I'm like, just close the gap, because I can't work right here. I'm just trying to conserve as much energy. Kind of being hit a little bit of a crosswind here. It's kind of like cross tail, I would say, but so I'm gonna try and be on this right side, but these two guys kind of don't want to work, and so this guy's gonna try and close the gap. But in his draft, I'm still doing a lot of watts here, but we're making good progress, and I'm just really hoping he's gonna close the gap all the way. But unfortunately, he's like, I'm tired, so he flicks me through, and I'm like, well, don't have much, but I'm just gonna put my head down again, kind of go into that mid upper 300s and close the rest of the gap here. And right now we're kind of passing by one of the Masters races, so we're kind of mixed in a little bit. But yeah, so now I'm kind of thinking like, all right, like I'm here, like, you know, I think I can make it to the bottom of the climb. But then they just like put on the gas again, and then this guy is dropping the wheel, and I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. And yeah, I'm just like, I'm done. You know, I don't have it. I'm cramping up so bad at this point where I just like can't even hardly breathe. My heart rate is just jacked through the roof, and so I just roll out of it. So unfortunately I have to kind of let the lead group go here, and so now it's just going to be about survival and seeing if I can work through these cramps and be able to kind of finish strong. We're now about 2 miles from the finish, and I'm cracked. I just like, the cramps have gotten worse. There's just kind of nothing I can do. I'm having a hard time holding like low 200 watts. And so, yeah, I mean, really unfortunate. And yeah, I definitely wanted to have a lot stronger showing here. And so I'm just kind of like super bummed. But I'm just going to still kind of like put out whatever power I can. And we'll kind of like fast forward through a lot of this, but this is one of the reasons why it's really important to kind of have your nutrition plan dialed and to not sway from that. I had with me the amount of calories that I was normally eat, but front loading those too much, and then also just having stuff going on leading into the race, I think kind of just threw me off. And when you race a lot, these kind of days are going to happen. So finally seeing 150 meters to go, which is definitely a welcome sight to see. This was one of the longest climbs of my life, just because of the shape I was in. And yeah, I mean, yeah, the cramps were so bad that I honestly thought of like kind of like stopping and then kind of recovering for a second and then going again. But stayed on the bike the whole time, suffered through, and yeah, finished the race. Wish it would have been better, but that's just how it goes sometimes. So yeah, now my mindset's just kind of like, all right, let's focus on doing well in individual stages. The GC is kind of out of the question now that I'm like 9 minutes back or something like that. So yeah, so that's going to be kind of my mindset. So next video we'll be going over stage 2, which was a really cool road race that had this crazy descent that you'll definitely want to check out. If you enjoy watching these videos, definitely like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is really awesome. So I really appreciate everyone that's been subscribing lately. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.